Good afternoon and welcome back to Myrtle Beach Living Live. I'm Todd Cartner, your host. And if it's got to do with entertainment, dining, local businesses, or of course my favorite real estate, it's right here on Myrtle Beach Living. And today we're glad to have with us Douglas Crew, who is sales executive with Powur Solar. And we're going to be talking about the solar options that you can have for your home. Really, really cool. And I'm looking forward to that because I'm interested too. And let's welcome Doug. Hey, Doug.
Hi there. How you doing, Todd? Thanks for having me.
I'm great. Thanks so much. I will tell you, for those of you that are watching, and Doug, you as well, I just got a message from StreamYard, who is the software that we use, and Facebook is actually having a little bit of a glitch in their videos. So there is some pausing that's going to go on. So I apologize for that. Hopefully they'll get that fixed very soon, but it is on them because I just got the message. So Tell us a little bit, Doug, where you from and family, that kind of stuff.
Well, I was actually born in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, but I moved here to North Myrtle Beach in 1977. And so I grew up here all the way through school, and I've lived a couple different places around the country and came back here in 2011. Actually came back from North Carolina to the Conway area in 2011, then moved back to North Myrtle Beach in 2013. Been here ever since. I've got a wonderful wife and 3 children. Two girls and a boy who's 6 years old, and the 2 girls are 13 and 10. And yeah, I've been around. My mother was a school teacher at North Myrtle Beach Middle School. I've been around the area for a long time. So that's kind of, and I've been in ministry also, just as a note of interest.
I'm sure those kids keep you very busy.
Oh yeah. The kids are they're wide open. My son is wide open, as they say, but yeah.
Yeah. That's the boys.
Yeah.
Well, guys, if you are watching live on whatever social media platform you're looking at, you can type your comments in the comment section if you have questions, Doug or myself, and we'll try to get those answered live for you here. So, Doug, how long have you been into the solar business, and kind of what got you into that business?
I'm actually newer to the solar business. I actually work with a mentor of mine who has been in the business for 15 years. And so he's teaching me the ropes. But I've been in ministry. The other thing I do is ministry. And I had been looking for some time to possibly start bringing in another stream of income so that the income, I wasn't putting so much weight on the ministry to need to pay me. And then COVID just sort of pushed that with like a lot of people. So when I ran into Powur, I met my mentor, Tom, and he introduced me to Powur. It was a perfect fit for what I was looking for. I love the fact that they're mission driven. They want to help change the planet and help preserve the planet and bring sustainability. So I found that important. And so it was just a great fit for me to become a Powur consultant.
Yeah, I could definitely change a lot of for this for 2020 anyway, and it looks like it may be changing a little bit going into 2021. So I'm sure this is a question that you get often. And that is, what should someone consider before they switch over to solar? I'm sure that's one of the first things that people are thinking about.
Yeah, well, you want to look at what are you paying for electricity right now per unit of electricity, because if you've looked at an electrical bill, you can see that there's a lot of numbers on there. There's a lot of fees and costs, and it's a little confusing. And so you really just need to take the annual cost of your electricity and divide that by your annual usage, and then you get a true cost per unit of what you're paying. Costco and all the places, they put the unit price on there, and that way then you can compare that apples to apples with what the solar, having a solar system on your house is going to cost. And so that's one of the best ways, the simplest ways to do it, is just to get you a good apples to apples comparison by doing that. Now, when you get into the solar side of things, there's a few things you want to consider, because you're going to have, where the solar panels are going to be mounted on your roof. Or maybe they have to be mounted on the ground. How much sun do you actually get? What kind of equipment is going to be used? Who the solar contractor is, and what kind of financing you're going to use, if any. You might be paying cash, and so you bring all of those decisions together, and you can kind of see, which is why it's important to get a solar consultant to just to come on and kind of help you walk through all these things, because it's a lot when you start looking at electricity, what you need to figure out.
So let's start there. What is the process of how you would go about getting, or I guess just start to finish, if somebody's interested in solar, how does that process work? And you mentioned consulting. What are the steps there, if you will?
Well, so if somebody contacts me, we have a conversation to talk about, well, what their goals really are. Some people are like, I just want off the grid, which is not really, it's possible, but it's difficult. And some people are just like, I just want to cut my electric bill if I can. Some people are just like, I want to reduce my dependency on the electric company, because they've had bad experiences with being dependent on the electric company and prices going up and whatnot. And some people are just want to do their part for the environment. So there's different people have different goals. So we need to understand the goals before we go into anything else. And then we'll collect a utility bill, one of your current utility bills, and I'll put together the savings report, and we get on Zoom, and I'll walk you through it. We get on Zoom, and this is one of the reasons that Powur has done so well lately, is we were Zoom based before COVID. That was part of the package. Now we can do stuff in person for people, but being able to do stuff over Zoom allows you to work with somebody that's a couple hours away, no problem. But you also get that face-to-face interaction. It's not just a phone conversation. But so when we get on Zoom with the savings report in front of both of us, we can make tweaks and on the fly as we go through it, and the person can understand what tweaks are being made, what changes, what they're giving up, getting, all that kind of stuff, as they make different choices. We have 20 different financing options. So if financing is your thing, we can get approval in literally less than a minute. The documents are handled via DocuSign. And then that's when a site tech will come out to your house. They'll collect all the information needed to pull the permit. And then they'll do the CAD drawings and everything to be submitted to the building department. And then the installation takes place. Now, anybody that's had to deal with a permit, had a contractor had to go get a permit, that can take a few weeks. So that doesn't happen overnight, and you may well know that. But the installation process is literally like 1 to 2 days, depending on how difficult, how complex it is, or, and weather. And then the next step is to activate it and start farming photons from the sun. Start, powering your house. So that's how it goes.
Well, Tony's online here today. Thank you for joining us, Tony. And he has a question. Do the panels feed into batteries or directly into your, I guess, current electrical wiring system?
Good question. And the answer is it depends. It depends on if you have a battery. If you can, more and more systems more and more people are choosing systems with batteries up front. Battery is more expensive, obviously, but with the battery, you can use the power from that battery all night. If you don't have a battery, you switch over to your utility, and you're using electric from them. Now, this gets into things like net metering, because a lot of people, and you'll see advertisements out there that people say, no money down solar, and start, make it sound like you're going to start reaping the profits as soon as you go solar, because you're going to be selling it all back to the utility. Well, that depends on where you are in the utility and what, and how they gauge things, because they're not going to buy a kilowatt of power from you for the same price they're going to sell it. So those are all things to consider when you're doing that, and we're discussing net metering, which is selling power back to the company. But like I said, many more people are starting to go the battery route. especially here in coastal South Carolina, we get a hurricane, the power goes out. Well, guess what? If you've got a battery and solar, you can still operate. Now, you're not going to want to run your air conditioning on it, simply because that pull that it puts on the battery kills battery life. You could potentially run it on the battery. Not the best idea. There's some newer systems out that claim to be able to pull it off really well, but over time we'll see how well they do it. I hope so, because that would be the ultimate to be able to tell somebody, here's your whole package. You can run your whole house on this thing all the time. But yeah, that's a good question.
So we see this a little bit on the real estate side, and there really hasn't been a strong gauge enough. But do you feel, and what do you tell your clients about it increasing their value of their home if they do have solar?
Well, in our area, which, Todd, it's not been as big a deal. Like if you live in California and you're selling a house with solar on it, somebody wants that house because they don't have to put solar on it. It's there. Here, it has not been a big deal, but that is changing currently. There is a multi-institutional research that's been done. It was led by the Department of Energy's the Lawrence Berkeley Laboratory in partnership with another laboratory and some universities and some appraisers. And they found that home buyers have been consistently willing to pay more for homes with host-owned is important, solar on their house. Now, because there's some people that are leasing. That help as much. If it's owned, when they buy that house, they get the solar in hand. And they're finding that on average, this is across various states now, that $4 per watt of photovoltaic system installed is what you will see an increase. So, for example, a 7 kilowatt system, which is the average, you'll see at least 7 kilowatts in lots of places, which is 7,000 watts, could potentially increase the home value $28,000. Now, in our area, it might not be quite that much in our area, but it still will increase the home value. We're starting to see that through a lot of these studies that go on. So.
Well, unfortunately, a lot of things start out in California, and then they finally work their way over here to the East Coast, and we see it quite regularly. So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying another factor is they're also showing that they sell faster. Homes with solar sell faster than homes without, so that's another factor.
Yeah. You brought up a point there about when you buy a home that already has it. Are there any tax breaks or credits that you get for having solar installed?
Okay, yeah. So a lot of people have probably heard about this. You've seen ads. They pop up on your Facebook feed. They're all over the place about the federal tax credit. And indeed, the federal tax credit is still at 26%. One time it was at 30%, and it's decreased slowly over time. But because of the recent stimulus package that went through, the 26% tax credit has been extended through 2022. It was supposed to end December 31st and drop to like 24%, I think. But it's been extended through 2022, at which point it'll go down to a 22% tax credit for 23 and then end altogether in 24. That's presently where we are. And then there's South Carolina. Then that's federal. And then you have South Carolina, which is a 25% tax credit capped at $3,500 per year, if that makes sense. So if you had a $40,000 system, you can get a tax credit for 25% of that. So that's $10,000, but you can only claim $3,500 of that per year. And I actually have a couple of links I could have sent you about some of that. But that's all stuff that, people ask questions about. And some of those questions they need to talk to their CPA about, because I'm not a tax professional and I do not want to give wrong advice.
We don't on the show, so that's good. If you guys do have a question about that, you can ask them in the comments, or you can put them in there, and we can put those links in the comment section after the show. So that would be great. Well, guys, again, if you have any questions for Doug or myself, please put them in the comments. We'll back after a commercial break. So stay with us.
Every client is unique and has different needs. Whether it's a growing family, a first-time buyer, an investor, or someone looking to downsize, I am here to help guide them through the process. My name is Todd Cartner. I am a realtor with Exit Coastal Real Estate Pros. I serve Myrtle Beach and the surrounding area, and there is no place I would rather have my family call home. You need a realtor you can trust and will put your needs first. I want to become your lifetime realtor. If you are looking to buy or sell real estate, please give me a call. I look forward to speaking with you soon.
And good afternoon, folks, and welcome back to Myrtle Beach Living Live. I'm Todd Cartner, your host, and today we have with us Douglas Brew, who is a sales rep for Powur Solar. And Doug, we appreciate you joining us today. And guys, if you have any questions, just one more reminder that if you do, put them in your comments below, and we'll be glad to try to ask those on air. Doug, I understand there's a South Carolina solar program. Are you guys part of that? And if so, how does that work?
Yeah, well, I should say also when we're talking about the South Carolina tax credit, that when you file those taxes, there is a form TC-38 that should be filed with the taxes that you have to file to get that tax credit, and that's really part of the South Carolina program. And then there's utility programs that offer rebates. And like Santee Cooper, which a lot of people around here have, they do offer rebates depending on size of system. And size of system is a thing because people, like I mentioned earlier, people are like, I want to get rid of my electric bill. I want to cover 100% of my solar. But what ends up happening is you build this 100%, what we call 100% system. But for part of the year, you're depending on net metering to sell money back to the utility. If you build too big of a system, it could potentially end up costing you money because you also have a charge per kilowatt that the utility is charging you of your solar system. So you're getting charged per kilowatt. Like if you have a 7 kilowatt system, you're getting charged, for that. And so there is a play, and this is another reason it's good to have somebody that you can really trust to talk and run the numbers and show it to you, because there is a play, there's a balance in there at where it all works out for you with your rebate and your how much your usage is and whatnot. So.
Well, that's why we have you here to answer those questions. So we make sure that we get them done. So I know your company sells the product. Do you guys are you the ones that install it? Is it a third-party company? And are there any other vendors that we may need, like an electrician to hook it up or that kind of stuff?
Yeah, we have become, Powur has become a general contractor in the state. And so we are now installing solar. The exceptions that you would need somebody else to come in would be a new roof. You don't really need an electrician to come in, but the roofing we don't do. So the homeowner can pick the roofer, but what can sometimes happen, what you can do is you can finance that roofing with the solar. Solar has good rates. A lot of times people will go down to their local bank and get an unsecured loan because they got to put a roof on, or they'll have to go through a rigmarole with the mortgage company to, whatever, second mortgage or however they want to do it, to put a roof on. But a lot of these solar financing has really good rates. And so if you need to get a roof before you put solar on your house, then you can do that and get it financed that way. But yeah, those are one you want to think about, because if you're going to need a roof in the next couple of years, then you want to just go ahead and do it, because you're going to end up then like 2 years down the road having to pay the contractor to come out and take the panels off while the roofer does the job and put them back on. Now, that's not outrageous. It's about $1,000 usually, somewhere in there. But still, it's $1,000 that's spent.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah,
so now, can you have that installed on the current roofing system, and then do you also install on metal roofs, because they're becoming very popular here in this area?
Yeah, now we can install on many different kinds of roofs. Actually, installing on a metal roof is pretty simple. It's and then composite asphalt. Those are the most common, and it can be installed on those. And this is a part of where Powur, we have great extended warranty. It's a very affordable warranty, and it's a 30-year kind of bumper-to-bumper warranty on the solar system itself. And there's also a guarantee against roof leaks for 30 years. So it's a great warranty, great system to protect that. And also, you get a little added benefit. When you put the solar panels on your roof, you get like an R6 insulation value on your roof, because they're absorbing the sun that's hitting your roof. And then there's also a small air gap underneath them. So, so it helps in that way too.
That's pretty cool. Tony had another question here. He said, what is the most popular size and the ballpark cost? And I know that we talked about this a little bit before, about how there's some factors that go into the cost. So why don't we kind of talk about the size system, and then you can give us some of those things to look for as far as determining the cost.
Yeah, the size of the house and your usage is really what depends the size of the system. I mean, a lot of people, like I used the 7 kilowatt example earlier, because that's a fairly average size. But depending on your usage, like I got a friend of mine that runs he does a lot of computer stuff, and he's on computers all day, and he does networks and working with networks and all that kind of stuff. So he's got all his computers buzzing in his room all day long, and he uses a lot of energy, and so that's going to be a bigger system. And other people just don't use as much. So, and
you mentioned earlier you have 2 daughters that are getting ready to be teenagers, so you probably need to double your system just to handle them.
I need a water catch. I need something so I can reuse rainwater is what I need, because my Lord.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's pretty cool. So how much does a typical homeowner save on their electricity? It's if there's a kind of a ballpark, is it a percentage? How does that work?
So we kind of take this over like a 25-year period, and you can save anywhere from $100,000 all the way down to $15,000. And so there's 25 different electric companies in South Carolina, all with different costs and fees, right? And this is why picking your consultant and contractor is important, because you want to make sure you get an accurate information about your costs because of your utility and all of those pieces together to figure it out. So some people might not, if you design the system to be close to your current use, you might not see a bunch of savings up front. But what you're going to see is you're going to avoid rate increases over time. And so by the time you get to the 25 years, and this is where in our community it is a lot to think about, because people come and they retire and they live on a fixed income essentially. And so you want to know how much your electric bill is going to cost you 15 years from now, but you never do, because utility rate increases and all that stuff happens. But if you put a system on your house that's solar, it's going to stay really close to that original price. Now you might, because they can adjust all kinds of fees. Now they have to justify a change of a fee to somebody. Right. So your little piece of electric bill you're still paying might increase, but that's going to be a much less percentage than if you're using all the electrical from the utility. So that's one of the big advantages is, if you're budgeting, I'm going to be on fixed income. I'm moving to Myrtle Beach from up north, and this is how much money I know I have every year to spend for the next however long I live. Well, you can gauge over 25 years, this is how much I'm going to spend every year. It's the same, and it won't increase like if I was, because you never know. Like right now, Santee Cooper, they're on a freeze through 2024, a rate freeze. So they're not hiking the rates, and it's all had to do with that failed nuclear program. But when 2024 hits, we don't know what's going to happen. How quickly will they have to jump rates and that kind of thing. So, and if you purchase your system, if you purchase your system straight out, if you paid cash for it, depending on how big the system is, between 6 and 12 years, all of a sudden, it's all positive. You've met that much money that you would have spent, and now everything's icing. So it's all good. But
really, it's a great question for you. What is due to weather?
The weather. Is that? Oh, you know what? I should say something too. I did have you can look in places where you're looking at a higher cost of power. You can look to save between 10 and 40% immediately. So I should say that. I should throw that out there. But if we're talking about weather, is that what the question was?
Yeah, any damage to the solar panels from the weather.
Okay, well, that's part of your warranty if you purchase a warranty. But I'm going to tell you, I've watched some videos of solar panels in hurricanes and all that kind of stuff. A solar panel can handle a lot, like 2x4s flying at it and stuff like that. So, they're rated to withstand 180 mile an hour winds, consistent 180 mile an hour winds, not gusts. And that's another question a lot of people have, especially around here, is in a hurricane, is it going to rip my roof off because the wind gets underneath the solar panels? And no, they've tested these things, and it will hold. In some cases, they've said it actually makes it stronger in some ways. So, yeah.
Wow. That's well, I have one other question for you, and if it's cloudy for several days, like our first 10 or 12 days here in January, it rained every day. If it's cloudy, does it not? Does it still charge the solar panels effectively? I guess is how I would say.
Yes. Now, sunny days are the best, right? But they will work when it's cloudy or even when it's raining. You will get some energy out of your solar panels. What we do is use a 25-year clump of data per zip code, and they model solar production. There's the National Renewable Energy Lab has helped do these models, and so you can kind of get a look on how much you're going to get usage out of your panels, average, even when the weather's bad. And so we kind of use that when the engineers are modeling the system. And if, like I mentioned earlier, if you have really bad weather where the power goes out, there's battery storage and battery backup, and we help figure that out as well. And we also help figure out electric vehicle chargers for those that are purchasing electric vehicles. So,
neat. Well, guys, if you want to find out more information about Powur Solar and get in touch with Doug, you can go to Powur, that's POWUR.com, or you can reach Doug directly by calling 843-555-2456. That's 843-455-2456. Doug, we thank you for being on. I learned a lot about solar, and we greatly appreciate your time today. And hopefully some people will reach out to you. Thanks you guys for watching and asking the questions. And we'll see you next Wednesday right here on Myrtle Beach Living Live. Y'all have a great week.